Shotgun and seal.
Hello, and welcome to Season 2. This is Episode 8.
Indeed it is.
We are doing another live stream, and still figuring out pieces of this puzzle.
Mm-hmm. Because right now I should be able to see the stream, and I'm not seeing a single thing.
Okay. So I'm going to go see if I can find it. What would really be helpful when we do these is that Gavin would have some control over, additional video clips or something.
So that he doesn't have to do all the work.
Things that we're, talking about, so it's a little easier for us to put this together in a timely fashion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I'd love to be able to see what's going on, but I can't.
Yeah, see, I don't want to do that, though. So let's just enter the studio.
I don't go away. How do you just enter the studio, though? Like, I don't understand. I can't do that.
You had to click on Start with Studio, and then... but
that
I'm doing that, and
might
there's
not be...
nothing in here, so... Even though we're live.
Okay, then.
Yeah, so I don't know.
Okay, so I'm not going to be able to see anything. Can you not, send me a link or something?
Well, you can go to our YouTube page, pull it up there.
No, I mean, you used to send me a link to the...
I know, but that's what I'm saying. When I'm in there, it's not showing me anything that we're live.
Mm.
But we are. But it's through OBS, so I don't know how all that works. So I would just monitor it.
Clearly, this is a well-run show.
Yeah, obviously. I would just monitor it from YouTube.
All right, that's where I'm going.
We're not hiding nothing.
Yeah. We, again, don't really have anything. Well, I do have one story. But I just I like kind of just talking about random things.
Yeah. There's lots to talk about. I mean, namely, did you see what Caitlyn Jenner wore the other day?
No, I did not.
I know that's what they want us to talk about. Because everybody wants to know what Caitlyn Jenner's wearing. Or Kylie Jenner. Or even, what's her face, Jenner.
I don't follow all those people, so I have no clue.
Nor do I. That's why I don't know their names, and I don't care what they wore. I don't care what they look like.
When you said, Caitlyn Jenner, I was like, I don't know. Do people really care what Caitlyn Jenner wears?
Do you think that people get confused, though? The people that aren't familiar with the whole Jenner family, and they hear Caitlyn Jenner, and they immediately think that it's one of the daughters?
Probably. Yeah, it might be. Let's see. Oh, we have one person watching. That's probably me.
No, there was one before. Jump on the chat if you're watching. Let us know you're there. Say hello. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, I can see the chat now. So
and any kind of feedback on our audio levels and whatnot is always appreciated as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so rolling into things.
Gee, what is there to choose from? I mean,
there's
all kinds of upside down stuff in our world
going
today.
on, that's for sure. I don't know.
Well,
see, because usually you have a lot that's going on.
There's an overwhelming amount that's going on.
Yeah, I just can't pick one thing to talk
about. One thing that
can't think of anything.
Steps out fresh in my mind is, of course, this past week we've had the confirmation hearing for Ketanji, is that her name? Ketanji Brown Jackson.
Yeah.
Being nominated to the Supreme Court, obviously, by Joe Biden.
Mm-hmm.
She's obviously not a good fit for the Supreme Court because she's a left-leaning radical.
Yeah.
But just the line of questioning from Republicans has been what you would want a Supreme Court nominee to be asked. They're asking her questions based on her record and not attacking her personal life like we saw when Republican nominated justices have been nominated. But
so it's just Kavanaugh.
Yeah. But I mean, the most simplest questions in today's world can't be answered now all of a sudden.
Oh yeah, that's a good topic. For those of you, well, the one person of you that are watching, if you want to jump on the chat and tell us what a woman is.
Yeah, please define a woman, because I just don't know.
Yeah. It seems the whole world has no clue what a woman is today. So, I mean, that's news. I didn't think it was that hard.
Did you ever think that we would come to a point in America where what has been known as most basic biology since the start of time is now confusing?
Well, I haven't necessarily been alive long enough to really know what true America was like before these times. Cause like
I've never heard it questioned what a woman is. I mean, seriously.
Yeah, because I grew up in a somewhat normal America, I guess you could say. But true America was never the same since 9/11. So
yeah, the world definitely changed then.
Been alive long enough. But I do know that the question of what is a woman has been very easy to define, I guess.
It's made controversial now. I just don't get it. I was thinking about this earlier today. Like, when we talk about going back to normal, what does that mean?
Well,
will we ever see normal again?
Probably not. If we do, it'll be in some other, I don't know, some other form. Normal will be changed, and they've already succeeded with that, whether it be, I don't know, health regulations or just general society in general. Normal's not going to mean the same, that's for sure.
No.
And it's not
because even though we may, everything was kind of interrupted with the whole pandemic and everything, daily lives change, all our usual
that's for sure
come and go of normal daily life. Even if we go back to having a more set routine where we get up, go to work, go to the mall, go to shopping, whatever, just live life, there's still aspects of life that are not normal.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
when we can't even define what a woman is, and we have.
When did you ever think that would be a question asked on the, like, when questioning a Supreme Court nominee?
It's shocking that it even has to be a question.
Why does that have to be a question for somebody who's being appointed to the highest court in the land to decide cases and what is lawful and what is not?
Yeah.
You have to ask her what a woman is, and she can't define it because she's a biologist. But this is like...
She's not a biologist. That's why she couldn't answer.
Yeah. And it's like...
What?
But this is exactly what the left wants to do, though. Like, you're not allowed to know things for yourself. You have to be an expert when it comes to it. Like, you can't decide what is healthy for you unless you're a dietitian, Yeah,
and that really started with the pandemic. Like, everybody's like, well, I'm not a scientist. I'm going to trust what the scientists say.
Yeah.
The scientists, in my opinion, were leading us astray. But yeah, like, we have to be a veterinarian to know what a dog is or what a cat is.
Yeah, and I saw a story on, I think it was USA Today. What is a woman? Oh, the science isn't clear.
Isn't quite settled on that. We're still trying to Seriously?
Yeah.
Still trying to figure this out?
Pretty sure science is very settled on what a woman is. So, modern scientists today, probably will just refuse to define what a woman is for fear of whether it be being sued or just facing very bad backlash. Because they face the threat of hate crimes now, and that can just be thrown into any. You can lose all kinds of things because of that.
Yep.
So they're not going to define what a woman is. You know that.
Yeah. But
I'm trying to find that story now.
There's so much stuff that's upside down. I mean, we have pedophilia being peddled in our schools.
Yeah.
And claiming that it's a right to do so.
Yeah, that's
who in their right mind thinks it's a great thing to talk to kids in, from kindergarten to third grade about sex.
So I just looked up the definition of woman, so we can settle it right here, right now. According to the toppers all of Google, according to Oxford.
Oxford, okay.
Oxford Languages.
And that's a thing too. You can't even go to like Merriam-Webster's dictionary because the definition will change from day to day because they're updating their language.
Are you ready for the definition of a woman according to Oxford? An adult, female, human being.
Oh. Okay.
What's hard to understand about that?
It's pretty simple.
It's pretty straightforward. And then they have similar definitions, which are a female member of a workforce, team, etc.
Okay.
A female person associated with a particular place, activity, or occupation.
Yeah.
All have to do with being a female. So
at least in this whole thing, you know, the fact that she said she's not a biologist to answer that question tells you that biology is involved. Simple biology is involved in what a woman is. When they tried so hard to unattach it from the world of biology, where it's just your choice, however you feel.
But here's the thing. If you're not allowed to define what a woman is, unless you are yourself a woman, then how do you define who gets to define what a woman is? You see what I'm saying? Like, if we don't know what a woman is...
Yeah, who makes that definition?
And people who are not women can't define what a woman is, but we don't know what a woman is, so that we never know which person is actually a woman.
Who's qualified to define a woman?
And the thing is, you cannot not be something if you can't define what that something is. Like, if I didn't know what a hot dog was, I couldn't affirm that I was not a hot dog. You know, it's like I have to know what a hot dog is in order for me to say I am in fact not a hot dog. You know, like if nobody had known what a hot dog was and I was like the first guy and somebody just mentioned in passing, you know, I found a hot dog. What's a hot dog? You know, I could be a hot dog, but I need to make sure that I know what that thing is so that I can in fact say I am not a hot dog. Yeah. The same thing with defining a woman. You can't say you're not a woman if you don't know what a woman is, because you could be a woman if you don't set boundaries for what a woman is. You know what I'm saying? It's a bit abstract of a thought, but I found that story. It's under the health and wellness section of USA Today.
Oh, I'm sure this will be good.
Marsha Blackburn asked Ketanji Brown Jackson to define woman. Science says there's no simple answer.
Right.
That's science.
Oh, is that Dr. Fauci? Dr. Fauci is science.
Dr. Fauci is science incarnate. He is he is the god of science. Little G god of science.
He was quiet for a long time. We've gone through, like, he was doing all the talk shows, all the daily shows, and then he went off to like random oddball podcasts. We didn't hear from him for a while, and now he's back on the Sunday shows, making the rounds. Yeah,
because I mean, he's got to take a step back. You know, we got a war going on in Ukraine, but
one day he's ready to say, you know, this pandemic might be over and I might retire, and then the next day it's, oh, we can't be so sure.
Well, the thing is, when they have a slow news day, bring in Dr. Fauci.
Yeah, we're gonna revert back to the pandemic and start all over again.
Yeah, so that's obviously how the left views him, the quote-unquote god of science.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, continuing on in the story, in the 13th hour of Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson's confirmation hearing Tuesday, Senator Marsha Blackburn, a Republican from Tennessee, asked the Supreme Court nominee, can you provide a definition for the word woman? Jackson appeared confused and responded, I'm not a biologist.
In this context, I cannot define what a woman is. What context? I mean, I asked you what a woman was.
So, according to USA Today, Blackburn chided Jackson, claiming that is it chided? Whatever it is.
English 101.
Jackson claimed that the fact that you can't give me a straight answer about something as fundamental as what a woman is underscores the dangers of the kind of progressive education that we're hearing about.
Yep.
I agree with that.
True.
Senators on both sides of the aisle have used Jackson's confirmation hearing to air issues that have less to do with Jackson's qualifications and more to do with their respective parties. Right. Okay. Anyway, so they go on. The exchange reflects the current state of gender politics in the U.S. as transgender swimmer Leah Thomas' recent NCAA win sparked a fierce debate over trans athletes, as a flurry of bills have sought to ban gender-affirming health care for trans youth. And other bills have banned trans girls from participating in K-12 girls' sports. If Jackson is confirmed, and
We all know she's
going to be, it's inevitable she will preside over cases involving trans rights. Which is exactly why the people are asking her to define what a woman is. Because if she's going to be dealing with those cases,
yes,
then it matters to ask her.
And that's why they're asking her about her previous judgments. More specifically, they didn't hound her on cases involving pedophilia.
Mm-hmm.
And how she's given them like much lighter sentences than what the prosecutor was recommending.
Of course. And they pointed that Ted Cruz brought in a giant board and was using all different kinds of cross references.
In one case, like 80% less time in jail.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or whatever the individual that
was.
was.
Which it would raise questions to any sane person as to why you're not giving them even the recommended sentencing.
Yeah, at minimum. We're talking about peddling child pornography.
Mm-hmm.
How more egregious can you get?
Yeah, it's sick.
We live in a sick country.
Scientists, continuing on with the story, scientists, gender law scholars, and philosophers of biology said Jackson's response was commendable, though perhaps misleading. It's useful, they say, that Jackson suggested science could help answer Blackburn's question, but they note that a competent biologist would not be able to offer a definitive answer either. A competent biologist would not be able to offer a clear answer as to what a woman is. You heard it here, folks. Biologists have no clue what a woman is.
So it doesn't even help to be a biologist?
Apparently not.
Huh.
So scientists agree there is no sufficient way to clearly define what makes someone a woman. Okay? And with billions of women on the planet, there is much variation. Yeah, but one thing they all have in common
is the biological
structure
and makeup of a woman, a female person.
You have to be a female to be a woman. That's how it works. But apparently biologists can't figure it out for the life of them. So let's continue reading.
How much confidence do you have in your scientists?
I don't listen to scientists half the time. I do my own research,
that's what I'm thinking.
Make up my own
But then when
mind.
you do that, you're a conspiracy theorist.
Conspiracy theorist, and you're
spreading misinformation.
Misinformation, and you can be an extremist for proclaiming what is the truth. I mean,
even though, most people on the right that were actually doing their homework and they were basically just giving their opinions and what they thought on it.
Mm-hmm.
They're not telling everybody else what to do.
Yeah.
They're just saying, hey, this is what I think is happening and this is what I think I'm going to do in my life. You decide for yourself.
So apparently Rebecca Jordan Young, a scientist and gender studies scholar at Barnard College, whose work explores the relationships between science and the social hierarchies of gender and sexuality. So basically she wasted several years at a college studying fluff, basically. She says, I don't want to see this question punted to biology as if science can offer a simple, definitive answer. Excuse me. Who are the people for the past, 2 years, 3 years, maybe even, saying that scientists could offer a simple, definitive answer as to what the vaccines did?
Right.
What happened there? We were told that they were going to shut down everything.
Yeah. It depends on the topic whether or not, you can trust your local scientists, I guess.
Yeah. But for a long time, the entire ideology of the left has been science is right on everything.
Yeah.
Scientists are able to give you a straight answer. You should always trust the science. That's what they would have you to believe.
And I disagree.
So science is not necessarily science. For as much as I understand, science should be taking evidence, physical evidence, weighing the evidence, and then coming to a conclusion.
That's
or
how
at least
science
a hypothesis.
Works. Yes, you start with a hypothesis,
and
then you run tests to see whether or not that hypothesis is in fact true.
Yeah.
And if it comes out true, great. Show me what you did and what your data
As
is
far
to
as I
back it up.
know, scientists don't delve in the realm of
Absolute.
philosophy and social construct. That's not your job as a scientist. Your job as a scientist is to figure out the biological signs of a woman. You know, it's not that hard to understand.
No.
Um,
And that's my problem with the field of science. You know, depending on what it is they're studying, a lot of times they start in a place that is outside what is revealed as truth in the Bible. You know, God created science. It's his science. And when they start from a place of, you know, the world's billion of years old, no, I can't follow.
Yeah, and it's like
Can't follow. Sorry.
it doesn't work like that. And it's science is man's best attempt at explaining what God's done. You know,
Yes.
it's like we're grasping at the very little straws
that's exactly
that we
what
can
it
hang on
is.
to.
It's us figuring out what this world is and that we live and figuring things out around us.
Yeah, because we're given the mind to be able to do
But
that.
we're given this, you know, the basis in the Bible.
Yeah.
And when we decide to start from a point that has nothing to do, or, you know, starts out in a realm outside on its own with nothing to back it up, like the world of evolution that is being taught in our schools today.
Yeah, and that's a deep topic as
is.
well. So she continues. The rest of her answer was was more interesting and important. She said, "As a judge, I do what I do is I address disputes. If there's a dispute about a definition, people make arguments, and I look at the law and I decide. In other words, she said context matters, which is true in both biology and society. Excuse me, biology doesn't come in contexts, does it? I mean, biology is biology. You know, you can have a different, like I could be in one context a male, and then I can be in some other situation or context, I would still be a male. Biologically, nothing changes. It doesn't matter what the context is.
But see, and this is where technology, I think, comes into play as well. And just the difference in the generations of people, whereas, you know, before big tech and before, you know, we had computers in our pockets, you know, we lived in our physical world nonstop, day to day. You're a kid, you went outside and you played with other kids, and you had a social, you know, events at the park or whatever. And then nowadays, you know, a lot of us are sitting in a chair looking at our phone and scrolling this internet that doesn't really have a construct or I don't know, it just goes beyond like any kind of limit that the physical world had. And it just, you know, you can be whoever you want, like Facebook building this metaverse for virtual reality where you can just get into this virtual world and be anything you want. And sooner or later, you know, the lines between what's real and what's not real get blurred. And we see a lot of, I mean, it's pretty alarming the amount of people that, you know, I work in the healthcare field, and you see them, a lot of people in there for psychiatric evaluations or attempts at taking their life. And it seems like they're getting younger and younger and younger. And a lot more of them. And you just have to wonder, you know, is it because they have nothing to base their lives on?
Yeah, well, I mean, they have, I guess the thing that the biologists are going for is, well, there's so many different identifiers of sex. You know, you've got the external parts, you've got the internal parts, you've got the chromosomes, you've got all kinds of different things. They try to get very philosophical about it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, oh, there's so many different things. We're not really sure on what solidly is a female. You know, because there's all kinds of different differentiations. And it's like, I don't care how many differentiations you have. There's two very clear differences between man and woman. And it's fairly simple. I mean, that's fundamental. We figured that out a long time ago, that man is man and woman is not man.
But
woman is woman.
In the process of separating it from, you know, physical, biological characteristics of what a female is, it's now based upon how you feel.
how you feel, how you identify, and then they'll go even closer.
Now, we all
and
know our
say,
feelings are going to change
yeah,
a lot.
yeah, and they'll go to the microscopic level and be like, well, you have lots of estrogen. Maybe you could, be something close to a female or something like that. It's like they try to get so philosophical about that when it's like, in the end, you're still going to have very presenting features, even in your chromosomes. I mean, even in your
Yeah.
in your DNA, something is going to be more out there. You're either going to have more male characteristics or you're going to have more female characteristics. You're not going to be somewhere in between, and it's just a mystery as to what you are. It's
Yeah.
not hard to figure out.
Yeah, but I think the more and more that we start to normalize this stuff, and it gets taught to our kids, I just think, like we watched a young lady on Michael Knowles
Show, yeah.
on his show, where she had a trouble with her family life at home. She was a young teenager. She found herself, on the computer, on the internet, on certain social channels, and there's this whole community, and the way she described it is very cult-like, and just people telling her that, yeah, you know what, you're trans, and you need to do this, do this, do this.
Yeah.
And she actually made the decision to go ahead and start, pumping herself full of testosterone to change into a male. And the further on she got, what she was expecting to be the reality or the outcome of what she was doing was far different, and it didn't make her any happier, and it was actually affecting her worse. She was worse off than what she was when she started. She found her way back.
Yeah.
But how many people don't? But we keep making it normal, then it's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
Is there any turning back?
I think the only reason that we really want simple definitions is because that's all we really. The point is, definitions don't change physicality. Like you can't identify
truth.
as a woman, and you can't identify as a woman and then change the fact that you are biologically a male. So the entire point of changing the definition of female or woman would be to allow people who are not biologically female to compete or to be on the same level as people who are biologically female. And that's basically what we're trying to prevent, because you can identify however you want, but it's not going to change the fact that you have a physical advantage over actual females if you are a biological male. So yeah, I don't know, but definitions can be, I don't know, definitions change sometimes, but definitions have to be based on something.
It's got to be based in reality and based in truth.
Otherwise, what do you have?
The truth.
You don't have anything. If you don't have truth, you don't have anything. So
yeah, truth is pretty absolute thing. So that's a hot topic in our world today. What else we got going on?
But speaking of people that talk a lot, that talk a lot about gender ideology and trans rights and what is a woman, there's a lot of political as well as social topics that get taken on the major social media platform Twitter. And as many of you may know, Twitter is not exactly the most free place to go and express your opinions.
No.
In fact, I would probably say it's the worst place to go and express your opinions, because if you start saying anything that's against the left's agenda, you're down, okay?
Yeah.
You're out.
You'll either get tagged by people on Twitter, or you'll just get removed by Twitter themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not worth it. It's a melting pot of people just shouting at each other. But anyway, on the subject of Twitter, Elon Musk he's hinting that he may launch a new platform to take on Twitter.
Okay.
According to the Daily Wire.
I'm not against that idea. I mean, Trump was saying the same thing, and his platform, I guess, is out there somewhere, but it's only on for like Apple devices and The rollout of it was not as smooth as I'm sure you would hoped it would have been.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess it's still active. But last I saw, like Trump himself wasn't even posting in it. So I don't know. I think if we get too many platforms, it's like then the community's just wholly divided, and
Yeah,
you
but
don't see half of anything that goes on. But I also don't want it to be in a monopoly.
I think the thing with I think Elon Musk will have a lot bigger of an opportunity and will succeed a lot faster, or a lot with a lot more success than Trump did, because Elon Musk is somebody who's, I hate to break it to Trump, but he's probably a lot bigger than Trump is. I mean, I know that Trump was the former president, and he's big, but only to a certain amount of people. The rest of the nation, despises him. But
The people that care about what Kylie Jenner wore.
yeah,
No, those are the people that
but
have no idea what's going
Elon
on.
Musk is so big that I mean, their beloved Teslas. I mean, that's one of the best electric cars you can buy, and he's the CEO of Tesla. So he's in the public spotlight a lot. But entrepreneur Elon Musk hinted on Saturday that he may launch a new social media platform to take on Twitter, after suggesting that Twitter, quote, fundamentally undermines democracy. We're not a democracy, but the social process of democracy, of letting people vote, I guess, or come to their own decisions and express their opinions, because it does not protect freedom of speech. Musk conducted an informal poll on Twitter on Friday, which stated, "Free speech is essential to a functioning democracy." Again, not a democracy.
Not a democracy.
But that's something that even Republicans have said in the past, to protect the democracy. We're not a democracy. We're a constitutional republic. But anyway, let's see. Okay, so free speech is essential to a functioning democracy. Do you believe Twitter rigorously adheres to this principle?
Negative.
Question mark. More than 20 million people responded to the poll with 70.4% saying that Twitter did not adhere to the principle, which is alarming, because 70.4% has got to be a huge melting pot of all different kinds of political views.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I don't know. When you consider how big Twitter is, I mean, there's people from all walks of life and all political ideologies on there.
Yeah, but I mean, 70.4% of the people who took the poll said, no, that's not. Of course, they don't adhere to free speech.
No.
Which says a lot. 70.4%. The consequences of this poll will be important, Musk continued. Please vote carefully. So Musk followed up on the poll Saturday, writing, "Given that Twitter serves as the de facto public town square, failing to adhere to free speech principles fundamentally undermines democracy. What should be done? Is a new platform needed?" he asked. So then there was another. Okay, so political commentator Mike Cernovich, maybe, I don't know, Cernovich. He said, "Buy Twitter. If you're a leftist making death threats against conservatives or organizing riots, Twitter respects your freedom of speech."
Of course.
Twitter also respects the freedom of speech for media hoaxes, like when every major outlet framed an innocent Covington high school kid.
Right. Or when Jussie Smollett was viciously attacked.
Yeah, viciously attacked. We all know how that turned out. And then Musk responded to that, and he said, "Doesn't sound very balanced."
No.
This is why I like Elon Musk, because he may not
He points out the obvious.
always agree with conservatives, but he does point out that we have some good points.
Yeah.
Logical
kicked off
points.
A sitting president because they didn't like his mean tweets.
Well,
But
world
terrorists still have their
more
Twitter
than
accounts.
That. Remember January 6th.
Oh, the day that democracy almost died.
Yes. Which
I remember it well.
Incited, and all these people died, except only one was actually killed, and that was somebody who was one of the rioters,
Quote
unquote rioters, who was unarmed, correct. Anyway, veering away from that topic, Musk conducted another informal poll on Twitter on Thursday in which he asked if Twitter's algorithm should be open source, which I assume meaning, I don't know, what open source.
Open source is like where a community of people can come in and like change the code or change how it works.
More than 1.1 million people responded to that poll, with 82.7% saying yes.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. I mean, if you have the public square and it's going to be changing, and you should allow the public to define its rules. I mean,
we're all using it.
That's what, as long as you don't do it. See, this is the problem with democracies. If you have an overwhelming majority on one side, then that's mob rule happens. You know, you're going to have overwhelming.
That's what was genius
forces
about the Constitution.
Yeah, that's why a
the balance of
republic
power
works better than a democracy. So I'm all for an open source. It just can't be run as solely a democracy. It should be run the same way America is supposed to be run, which is not being run.
It's not running real well either
right now. Okay, so he said, I'm worried about the de facto bias in the Twitter algorithm having a major effect on public discourse. Musk continued, how do we know what's really happening? He's got a good point. I mean, how do you even know what's going on behind the scenes at Twitter?
Yeah, you don't.
You don't. So Musk recently came out and objected to the censoring of Russian media outlets in response to Russia's invasion of Ukraine, which I would say I'm back and forth on, because if you don't want Russian propaganda to get out there, influencing more people, then obviously you shut down the Russian media. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, America kind of values the option to push whatever agenda you like, free speech, when you start breaking laws, that's when we kind of have to get in and start doing something about it.
Right.
But just because Russia invades Ukraine doesn't necessarily mean that Russian media outlets, I guess, should be censored. I don't know. It's something that's
the whole censoring thing with the Russia-Ukraine, like
there's
like
censoring tightrope,
censoring or removing an athlete that's from Russia,
mm-hmm.
just because they're from Russia, or canceling Tchaikovsky.
Mm-hmm.
This makes no sense.
Yeah, and it's and I in no way support Russia.
No.
But if you're going to uphold principles of free speech, then let people come to their own conclusions and let things keep happening.
If you don't have free speech, then you have China. Then you have, one voice, and you just develop this big group think. And if you don't think like the group does,
mm-hmm.
then you're cast out.
Yeah. There's a difference between, allowing somebody to just push propaganda and when somebody actually goes in and invades a country unprovoked. Which I understand, and which is why it's so delicate of a thing to talk about, because it's like you obviously don't want to support them in any way. But yeah, it's very tough to talk about. But anyway, Musk continued, Starlink has been told by some governments, not Ukraine, to block Russian news sources. Musk tweeted, we will not do so unless at gunpoint. Sorry to be a free speech absolutist. So that's what he's saying. Free speech is free speech, and no matter what anybody's saying, you should allow that to happen. So sorry. Yeah. I like Elon Musk.
Yeah, he comes out with some zingers
mm-hmm.
every once in a while.
Yeah, so that's really the only story that I had pulled up. But yeah. It says we have 2 people watching right now. If you're here,
please say hello.
Jump in the comments, because we don't really have anything that we're going to continue talking about. Today's kind of been a slow day, so I don't know about newsworthy, but I haven't checked really anything, and I can't really come up with a whole bunch of topics.
Well, yeah, most of the day's topics have to do with the White House having to walk back things that Joe has mumbled over in Poland.
Mm-hmm.
Been over there. He let, I don't know if it was a Freudian slip or something that he wasn't supposed to say out loud, but he did mention to the troops that they would see, the bravery of the Ukrainian people when they're there,
mm-hmm.
Seeming to promote the idea that our troops will be in Ukraine at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully that's not what he means, but
Yeah.
I would not be at all surprised if this president gets us involved in this.
We in no way need to be involved in Ukraine. I mean, physically. We don't need to send anybody over there. We don't need to enforce a no-fly zone.
No.
It should not be. We should not get involved.
I want
in
us to
this.
stay out of it.
Yeah.
We've got enough problems.
It is no. We can't even take care of ourselves.
No.
At all.
And these people can't lead us in our own problems here at home.
Yeah,
they're not going to lead anything.
We can't get oil at all without begging to other nations. And how long did we support Russia with buying their oil before President Biden actually came out and was like, oh no, we're gonna stop it. We're just gonna ramp up all the other oil sales in all the other countries that hate our guts.
Yeah.
So
great idea.
Yeah, it's.
Yeah.
What
You're
are you
looking
gonna
for
do?
leadership from these folks. You're not gonna find it.
No, that's for sure.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. So I don't know. We're 40 minutes in, and I don't necessarily have a whole lot
All right.
to talk about. So,
Well, if no one wants to say hello, then I guess we were at the point where we will say good night. You can follow us on social media, on Facebook, on Twitter, we have Instagram, but we don't do a whole lot with it.
Nope.
At our YouTube channel, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification so you know when it is that we go live, so you can see our beautiful faces when we do.
yeah. So, if you thought this show was boring, it would be a lot more entertaining with a lot of people commenting, so that we can kind of pull off of the audience's energy. Which is why it's important to
say hello when you're asked.
Say hello. No,
Come on now.
You can stay as silent as you want, as long as we know that you're there. But yeah, it's something that you don't necessarily have a whole lot of. There's motivation there, but there's not as much pull when you know that there's not going to be as many people watching it.
Yeah,
and you wouldn't know that unless you're somebody who does this. But yeah,
it'd be more fun this is why we formed the podcast anyway, to have a group in which to discuss topics of the day.
Yeah, I think so far all we've got is family and friends
so far.
So, yeah.
But anyway, we hope that you enjoy the rest of your weekend, and take care of yourself, take care of each other.
Have a happy day.
Good day. All right, we will say good night then.
Good night, y'all.